Barbasol Ultra 6 Plus with 6 ultra-thin blades. Save now at Barbasol.com. I'm Rich Ackerman.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone, brought to you by the folks at Circle X Country Store. The A&M Consolidated Tiger Band Marchathon fundraiser is Saturday, August 11th in the Pebble Creek subdivision. Supporters can sponsor a marcher, purchase a lawn concert, or join the parade. More information is online at amcbands.com. Applications for the Leadership Brazos class of 2019 are now open. Apply online at bcschamber.org/leadership by August 10th. For official contest and prize rules for Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM, make sure to visit zone1150.com. Community Calendar is brought to you by Circle X.
Local number will take care of your issue in a prompt and professional way. Every one of Intercon's personnel who answer the phone will know how to involve the right people to find a solution. With Intercon, you won't spend hours manipulating through an automated phone tree. If you consider purchasing your replacement windows from another window source, a good exercise would be to call the service department of the other company. You might come away thinking it'd be better to put your trust in a local company with a solid and well-established reputation. Ask your friends and colleagues about the customer experience they had with Intercon. We are proud of our track record and our commitment to long-term customer service. Trust Intercon, a family-owned local business, with all of your window needs.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
Grainger stands for safety, and they know what safety stands for. S, safety. A, all about safety. F, feeling good about safety. E, extreme safety. T, talking about safety. Y, you guessed it, safety. First aid kits, eye wash stations, fire protection, you name it. For over 90 years, they've been helping to keep facilities safe and people safer. When it comes to safety, Grainger's got your BACK. Call or click Grainger.com to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Usher in the Jimbo Fisher era the right way this fall by tuning in to Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM. Follow along as Jimbo and the guys square off against some of the most talented teams in the country. Brought to you live by the new voice of the Aggies, Andrew Monaco. Spanish coverage of the football games can be found on Willie 1550, and every broadcast will be streamed on RadioAggieland.com. Listen to Fighting Texas Aggie football beat the hell out of the competition this fall on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
Pine trees, hard land, I'm missing you. Guitar playing through the night, it felt pretty good, I'm feeling alright. Good as one for the price of two. It's been a long time gone since the truth's been told.
Good afternoon, Bryan College Station. Welcome to the Beliucci Hour Lunch. Live on Sports Radio 1150 The Zone, 102.7 FM. We are here at the Tap on Harvey Road. I'm your host, Ryan Brauninger. Myself and Beliucci will be here from 12 to 1 as we are every Tuesday and Thursday to talk all things Aggie Sports in front of a live audience here at the Tap who continues to just pump out great lunch specials every day. $8.49 burger basket today. I think it's the fried chicken sandwich. I saw one coming out of the kitchen earlier. The thing was massive. It looks like, it's very hearty. A lot of calories, really keep you going, get you through the day. We're here because throughout the fall to talk Aggie Sports and get you guys ready for the Jimbo Fisher era, which happens now 3 weeks from today. We are 21 days away from Texas A&M opening their 2018 football season against the Northwestern State Demons at Kyle Field at 6:30. If you've been listening to Sports Radio 1150, the Zone 102.7 FM all day, you've heard a ton of sound bites from Jimbo Fisher, various A&M players. You've heard the guys on TexAgs Radio opine. You've heard Louie talk about all things coming out of fall camp. So we're going to get into that on the Beliucci Hour from today, and we're going to kind of break down with 3 weeks left. I wanted to get LiuccI's thoughts on kind of how A&M with 3 weeks left. What does the preparation look like in each phase of the game as they go into this matchup with Northwestern State? And then, obviously everybody's looking at that matchup in week 2 against Clemson. And why wouldn't you? You've got a playoff team, a recent national champion coming in here to Kyle Field, and that boasts one of the best defensive lines in the country. I think that, it's hard to look past Northwestern State because it is the first game of the Jimbo Fisher era. But the more people you run around, you talk to, everybody's asking about Clemson. Everybody wants to know about Clemson. I did pick up a little interesting anecdote about Northwestern. So Northwestern State's introducing a new coach, runs a really high-tempo, high-paced offense. The quarterback for Northwestern State may end up being a kid named Shelton Epler, who led Navasota High School to the state championship a couple years back under Lee Fedora, who's now the head coach at A&M Consolidated. He went to Trinity Valley Community College out of Navasota and now has found himself in Natchitoches, Louisiana with Northwestern State, and is battling it out to be the starting quarterback for the Demons when they roll into Kyle Field. So cool storyline there to have a local kid coming back and start his Division I playing career against Texas A&M. It's good to be back in town. If you're driving around Bryan College Station, we hope that you got us locked in. And if you do, we're very appreciative of that. Don't forget our Facebook stream and YouTube streams. We're working on getting that. We've got kind of a new look. We've tucked in the cameras from out in front of the stage. If you're here at the tap, no more cameras in front of the stage. We're moving everything to the side to make it more audience-friendly, viewer-friendly for those people that are here joining us live. It's good to be back in town for me. I got to go home. Well, I don't call it home anymore. This is home. Bryan College Station is now home. I got to go back to the Golden Triangle where I grew up and see some family over the course of the last couple of days. And I got a birthday coming up. I don't need y'all to guess how old I'm going to be, but got a birthday coming up, so I wanted to see the family before football season really hit. And I'm gone every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then with the baseball coaching stuff on top of that, it was just an opportunity for me to get back home. And I can tell you one thing, you forget how humid it is down there. And it rained at 3 o'clock every day at my parents' house in Nederland. But I did get to go on a little recruiting trip. I went to Port Neches Groves High School. They've got quite a few players. And the crazy thing that happened for me during this trip home was that I took my first picture as a recruiting guy. I took my first picture and made my first recruiting profile for the class of 2022 in high school. That means this kid has just arrived on a high school campus, and the administration there at P&G said, hey, I know that's kind of weird, kind of crazy for you to go up to a kid that's a freshman in high school and take his picture, but there's that kid right there. And I looked over there, and he's 6'4", 240 pounds, offensive lineman, and he's like, yeah, Dad was All-State. He's 6'8". Mom was All-State volleyball. She's 6'2". Mom's dad's 6'11". So you may want to go ahead and get on this kid before everybody else does. So, but I also got to talk to a 2020 A&M target, Jalen Garth at P&G. That Golden Triangle area has always got about 3 or 4 players that end up going and playing big-time college football. The P&G quarterback, Rashawn Johnson, is committed to Texas. Always enjoys. He's one of those kids. I didn't care if he was coming to A&M, Texas, SMU. It's a kid you pull for because of the way he handles himself and the way he handles his business. So good trip back home. Good to be back here amongst the front table. Jimmy Wright was telling all kind of jokes. I don't know what was funny, but I've never heard y'all laugh that hard. I thought you were going to have to slap old Asher in the back, Jimmy. I didn't know you had to make it come too. Oh, hey, that's a Port Neches guy, right? Yeah. So, yeah, again, always a good time here at the tap. On Mondays they have karaoke night. Wednesdays is piano bar. And then they've always got a great lineup of live music coming through here as well. There's so many, whenever you host a live show like this and you start prepping for it, it's always difficult to kind of dive into something that's not been talked about ad nauseum, by the local radio, you get 3 hours of TexAgs, and you get Louie, who covers a lot of the same stuff. Then you get Paul Feinbaum, you get Chip. So you're inundated with it. So when you're sitting up here and you're looking at how to go about this show and how I want to make it a little bit different. So I said, we got 3 weeks left. Let's start diving into what A&M's got to do well in each phase of the game this year to be successful, and then who are those players that will be influencing those outcomes. So today I've got, with 3 weeks left, I wanted to talk a little bit running game. And then on the flip side of that, how does A&M stop the run? We've gone through 6 years of the SEC, and most people here at the Tap, and if you're listening, you've watched most of these games. How many of those times did you come out on the other side saying, man, A&M played really well against the run? Or, man, A&M ran the football extremely well today. Well, last year they ran the football really well against UCLA. You lost the game. And so how many times when those games stick out does it say, okay, yeah, they did all this and they won the game? So I think those are the biggest components to wins and losses this year. You can talk about the quarterback situation all you want to. You can talk about the use of the tight ends. You can talk about the change in Mike Elko's scheme. But it all comes back to, does A&M stop the run, and can they get 3 yards or 4 yards when they need it? I think that a key component to that will obviously be the continuity in the offensive line. It'll be, can the offensive line stay healthy? Yeah, you have some mail. I don't know what that – and they wrote real pretty for you,
I know
Billy.
what it is, and I know whose handwriting it is.
You've had somebody write you a letter in that handwritten letter?
In that good handwriting. Whose handwriting does that look like?
Is it Louis?
Yeah.
I was just guessing. I've never had Louis write me a note. But that's nice that he wrote you something.
Yeah, I know. It's nice to have you back after your big vacation.
Vacation? I worked, man.
You did. You went by P&G,
yeah. And then, I wanted to get your thoughts, Luch, real quick before we go to break. Your keys to A&M running the football better in 2018, is it as simple as the 5 guys up front, or does it have to do as well with the ability of maybe if it's Kellen Mond, as quarterback, how does that change the offense's ability to run the football?
Well, I think we saw that a couple of years ago with Trevor Knight and the dynamic he brought. I mean, Johnny was a completely different dynamic, but anytime you have a mobile quarterback, if that ended up being Kellen, it adds a dimension. I don't think you'd see a whole lot of QB run game out of Jimbo Fisher and his offense. He's always going to tailor it to the strength of his quarterback, and if it ended up being number 11, I still don't think you'd see just a ton of QB run game in there. Nothing like what we saw with Trevor Knight, and he's obviously not the ad-lib creator that Johnny was.
He's more like Kellen. He's better with zone read.
Like Kellen?
No, Kellen was more like Trevor.
Yeah.
He does better with the zone read, designed kind of run.
Yeah, and I don't think you'll see a ton of that. I mean,
he didn't do a lot of it with Jameis at Florida State. He didn't do a lot of it with DeAndre Francois at Florida State. Both mobile guys.
Well, and Kellen's a better runner than them. But I don't know how much difference that would be in terms of adding it. I think a lot of Kellen's running will be, there'll be some draws and things like that, and maybe some of that zone read game. But I think the running game is going to succeed because of the online tight ends and running backs. And here's another element that I do think having a mobile QB in this league is a tremendous help. Now, it's been proven that you can win in here without a mobile quarterback, but would be a tremendous help to have a guy that can avoid trouble and make that first guy miss. I mean, because no matter how good your O-line is, I think back to Jake Matthews, Cedric Ogbuehi, and Jermaine Ifedi. 3 first-round picks plus Jarvis Harrison, who had first-round talent up front. And there were multiple games in 2013 there where, they lost the battle in the trenches in league play. I can think of Mississippi State. Yeah, they scored 50-something points and rolled up a ton of yards, but Johnny was really working magic in that football game.
That's one of the things I said earlier. How many games can you go back and think about over the last 6 years where you said A&M ran the ball really well today and they stopped the run?
Yeah, not many.
Not many.
Sometimes one, sometimes the other, rarely both. And I think they're well on their way on defense towards building a unit that's going to be able to do that. Hell, I think the injury to Michael Clemens, there's no way to spin it as a positive, but I do think with Kiki and if it's Kiki and Bobby Brown playing out there a lot, that might be a front that's really strong against the run. But going back to the quarterback thing, Auburn, I can think of Auburn. I can think of Bama that year. I've named Mississippi State. Maybe even Ole Miss that year. There are several games where up front, A&M either got a push or they lost that battle. And that's going to happen even with good O-lines in this league because you're playing probably 5-6 great D-lines. So
and when you add Clemson to that list too,
and Clemson, yeah. And next year Clemson and Georgia. So a guy that has some mobility, yeah, that's a huge edge, but so is getting rid of the ball quickly and having that release that Nick does and getting the ball out and on time.
And knowing where it's supposed to go.
So that's the battle. Yeah, mentally, that's part of the getting it out and on time. You get rid of it, you don't think. So that's why that battle is nowhere near decided a week in. Another key to the running game, Bronny, that Jimbo Fisher demands, and you can go back to guys like Michael Clayton, Dwayne Bowe, Josh Reed, that he had all the way back at LSU. And we're not out there enough to really see it, but I know just from talking to people and talking to him.
Jamon even mentioned
blocking.
Yeah. Jamon mentioned that was it's a much bigger emphasis with this staff.
You won't play if you can't block on the perimeter as a wide receiver. You will not stay on the
Mike and Ryan Swope and that first group, Kendrick McNeil and Easy, they were exceptional blockers on the edge. And I thought that was, Johnny made things work a little bit differently. But I thought that was the best running offense that A&M had.
Yeah, and
with not hugely talented back. Ben Molina was serviceable.
I would beg to differ on that. I think if you give Jimbo Fisher, Kristen Michael, and Trey Williams right now, that would have been
was
pretty,
that? Yeah, it was. That was Trey's fresh.
Trey,
yeah.
And Ben was maybe not the talent, but he was a pretty damn good back. But and then they had that O-line. But yeah, they didn't use. They had Michael Lamoth as a tight end, so they didn't really have a tight end presence. And none of those guys you mentioned outside of Mike were very big, but they were committed. They were dogs. David Beatty did a good job of getting them in that mindset, and that's what Damian Craig's trying to do right now. Yeah. Actually, it's what Damian and Jimbo are demanding of their receivers right now.
When we come back, we'll stay with the talking about the run game and then the run defense with Luch, and we'll roll right along on a Thursday afternoon. You listen to Beliucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone.
You can hear Aggie soccer all season long on the Zone, 102.7 FM, and online at RadioAggieland.com.
For your car, your home, your business too, Acme Glass takes care of you. For over 60 years, we're the clear leader. Our quality and value keeps shining through. For repair and replacement on all kinds of glass, you can trust Acme for quality that lasts. Where quality and value keep shining through. Acme Glass, we're the clear leader.
Fender benders, parking lot challenges, scrapes, bruises, and bumps. I'm vehicle challenged when it comes to avoiding objects that get in my way. Hi, I'm Mary Mike Hatcher for Oscar & Sons Body Shop. My car is my second office, and it's so important to keep it looking great. Oscar & Sons Body Shop has done just that. As a family affair for over 40 years, they remove cosmetic blemishes to major auto body repair. Google Oscar & Sons. They'll come to you with a free estimate for your repairs. Oscar & Sons Body Shop. They wreck it, we fix it.
Ever get up close and personal with a scorpion? Then when you go to get rid of it, you can't find it? They hide pretty well. This is Bobby Jenkins with ABC Home and Commercial Services, and we know where scorpions hide. With ABC's control plan, our specialists will treat and quickly get them out of your home. Additionally, ABC specialists undergo background screenings so you can feel comfortable having us in your home. ABC Home and Commercial Services, specialists for your environment.
For courteous service, just call ABC Home and Commercial Services.
Folks are always looking for a place to meet friends, grab some food, relax, and unwind with a cold beer, mixed drink, or glass of Boots Sweet Tea. The Tap on Harvey Road has been the place to do just that for nearly 30 years. A casual atmosphere and tasty food keeps people coming back for more. Our burgers, salads, chicken tenders, nachos, and more are sure to satisfy whatever craving you have. And being in SEC country, the Tap is a great place to meet before, during, or after the game. See you at the Tap on Harvey Road in College Station.
Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes can land you on the wrong side of the law. If so, you need someone on your side. Steve Gustitis, attorney at law, has over 20 years' experience fighting felony and misdemeanor charges. Steve Gustitis will fight for you. Call now to set up your free consultation, 823-9111. Qualified people are ready to take your call. Call 823-9111 or visit GustitisLaw.com to see how Steve Gustitis can put the law on your side.
I realize some of you are counting down to kickoff and have been most of the summer, but football season doesn't begin until I say it begins. And it begins with the SEC football preview each weekday afternoon at 4:30. We'll hear from the key players and coaches of each SEC team, followed by my world-famous predictions. Tune in weekdays at 4:30 for the annual SEC football preview, presented by Chamois Car Wash, Outback, and the Bank and Trust here on Zone 1150 and 102.7 FM.
Welcome back, Beliucci Hour Lunch. Live from the Tap on Harvey Road, Ryan Brauninger, Beliucci. Come check out the Tap's great lunch specials all week long. Chicken fried chicken sandwich today, $8.49 burger basket. Again, 3 weeks away from kickoff. Talked to John a little bit on Tuesday, and they're going to be coming up with some really cool things, maybe some drink specials, John, for game day. So come out. Hang out with us on game day. We will have a Beliucci Hour from here at the Tap. Somebody said Luch has got like a $100 tab for the front table that day. So did you know about that? Tipton said that you're picking up at least $100 of the tab. No?
That ain't happening.
Not happening? No.
I saved my spending on.
He said it was under some Chad, and it was undernamed Chad.
I saved my frivolous spending for the opposite sex.
Tipton's not good enough for you.
I don't even use it on myself, for God's sake.
Hey, did you see is it Houston Little League going to the Little League World Series?
Yeah, that's awesome.
In that Bel Air area?
I think
it's
so.
like
Post Oak.
just
I mean,
south
it's right
of
by the
I-10,
Galleria.
Yeah, Westheimer area.
I didn't even know there were kids that lived there, but apparently so.
Dude, so I had to drive. I drove that way coming back today. From I-45 to I-10 on 610 is a total parking lot all the time.
Yeah.
I don't understand how traffic works. I would love for somebody to sit me down for an hour and just explain to me why there's traffic when there's no construction. That makes
did
me
that
so
the other
frustrated.
day too, and I'm probably doing it this afternoon to go to the Astros game, and it's just there's no good time to do it. It was 7 o'clock the other night, and I was in bumper to bumper on 6.
It's miserable.
Just got to avoid it.
Well, we're talking running game and run defense today on the Beliucci Hour. And
Are we?
That's what before you got here, I was telling everybody. The plan is, and it's difficult because everybody talks about this stuff on local radio all the time. So how do we make ours different? So, we'll talk this week on Thursday, running game, run defense. Next week, passing game, pass defense, and then the following Thursday, we'll start getting into some matchup stuff or whatever, because that Thursday will be game day and there'll be a ton of storylines on game day. So, you mentioned the quarterback having a say-so in the success of A&M's running game, and I 100% believe that. But the question, and we hit on this a little bit on Tuesday, the question with this football team, and I think a lot of the success in terms of wins and losses will lay at the feet or at the hindquarters of those guys up front.
Yeah.
And where do you think they are in terms of number of guys that they trust and, continue to get towards the 5 they want to work together?
I think the 5 they want thing, Bronny, is I think Carson Green, Dan Moore are your tackles. Keaton Sutherland's one of your guards, and Eric McCoy is your guard or center. So really there's one position from where I sit, and I could be wrong. I don't think I am. There's one position, and it's either finding a center so you can leave McCoy at guard, which clearly is the preference, or McCoy once again playing center and finding a guard. Now
that seems like the easier path, doesn't it?
there's a myriad of options there.
We're okay in here, by the way.
There are a myriad of options, and you could rank them. Yeah, it seems like, here's what I think. It feels like at guard, maybe Jared Hocker is
if
a little more
center,
safer than maybe where you're at with Prater at center right now. But they chose Prater at center to start.
Sure, and then
camp.
Ryan McCollum has been the backup, right?
Yeah, so they think, but I'm saying they chose to go with Prater at center to start fall camp. You're going to choose what you think is your best option entering camp. Now, that can always change. It usually does. But that's what they opted for. That's what they chose. I think that's what they hope would or will work out. Now, from there, because Prater has struggled in the past at center, at guard, and at tackle. He's also been injured a lot. If that doesn't work out, your options are, it's Ryan McCollum in there, or do you move McCoy back in there, and then you go into
I
this.
think the options, that's what I was trying to get
Let me
at.
finish this, though. This is your other rabbit hole at guard, is do you go Hawker? Is Grayson Reed a contender there?
Connor Landfear.
Is Connor Landfear, but right now he's fighting to get healthy. He's not there yet, but does he factor in at some point? So at guard, it feels like you've got some more proven commodities, so to speak. McCollum's kind of a proven commodity, about like Hawker is, but not at center. And then the final thing there is, does Luke Matthews ever enter the mix at either spot? What about a world where Luke Matthews is a guard and Eric McCoy is a center? So I don't know the answer, and I don't think they do either, and I think they're exploring options right now.
Been interesting to me, and when you went down that rabbit hole, that's kind of where I was thinking, was like, it just seems like it's an easier thing to – McCoy's been your 2-year starter at center, and he's been fantastic. He made probably a top 5 player on your football team over the course of the last 2 years when you look at week in, week out. The options at guard are more proven, but you've also moved, and to go back to your Luke Matthews point, Barton Clement has been the freshman offensive lineman that has been playing center. So I don't know that they would want to put 2 incoming freshman offensive linemen at center. Now, at guard, I don't know. And I don't know what the transition is like and how much different it is from playing center to guard. I mean, Evan Ike is usually in here. He could probably tell you more than I could. But it seems like there's a lot more involvement when you're playing center, and that's a difficult position for guys to cross-train at. Just for me, and I'm not out there every day, and you're not either, but it seems like the easier bet is to put McCoy at center and find your guard. And
I am out there every day. I'm out there for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I think that would be easier. You're right, and I also think it would be easier because, again, Hawker and Landfear at guard, I think, combined. And Landfear's not healthy enough yet. But those guys at guard have, I think they've shown more. You know, Jared Hawker played well at times at guard last year.
And listen, we're not talking about this either. You're starting 2 true sophomores at tackle. What happens if they don't play well? Or what happens if one of them rolls an ankle? Then where do you go at tackle?
Yeah, then do you move Keaton Sutherland? These are all problems that I think have held this O-line back the last couple of years. And my biggest thing, if I'm Jim Turner, if I had a thing I'd love to see out of Jim Turner in camp. And again, his hands are kind of tied in that there's only so much you can do.
They're one recruiting class away from this thing looking better.
Yeah. Let all these 4 that they just signed get into year 2. In theory, you're only going to lose Keaton out of everyone that plays this year. Now, Eric McCoy is kind of a wild card, but again, I don't think these guys typically make bad decisions.
He doesn't seem like the
kid
kid
leaving early. He'd have to develop into a first or projected early second rounder. That's really high for an interior lineman. You know, they do it, but there's only a small handful of them that do. In theory, you'll lose Sutherland, and that's it. And you'll bring back, you know, those 4 will be in year 2, and you'll bring in a talented group of freshmen that normally you wouldn't say you'd expect much from true freshmen, except one of them's Kenyon Green. So at least you got to figure he's going to factor in, plus those 4 guys in year 2, and only losing 1. yeah, that changes the whole look. A year from now, you're saying you return 2 starting tackles. Kenyon Green's coming in, though. Is he going to push somebody out? Are they going to move around? You're going to have a lot of talent up front, especially if McCoy comes back. You're not there yet. So Jim Turner's handcuffed a little bit.
Well, you'd love to see somebody like Kellen Deesh start taking the next step if it's going to happen for him.
You'd love it.
You'd love to see, Colton Blanton came in early but was injured the entire winter and spring.
That didn't help.
So that didn't help either.
That.
They could have helped. So, like you said, just they're one cycle away from being okay.
Let me finish what I was saying about Turner, though. This is the most important thing of this deal, in my opinion. Settle whatever it is, figure it out ASAP, settle on it. And I'm not saying that there's a problem that they don't have it figured out in a week. Don't get me wrong. This is not like, oh, my God, they still don't know. But let's not wait until a week before the game and do some massive reshuffling like we've seen the last 2 years. In Turner's defense, out of necessity. But that's because one time it was Prater that couldn't get it done in a spot. Then it was something else happened, and Cota was struggling at tackle. All of a sudden you move London out there a week before the season, and he'd never played tackle, which led to some other shuffling. And then last year, correct me if I'm wrong, was it at the last minute you moved Cota back out to left tackle and Sutherland back out to right, and then you had a new guard. Was it
Lanphier and McCollum?
Prater, UCLA. Yeah. And then it changed pretty noticeably after that. I mean, that's what I don't want to see this year, and I think that could set the offense back. They've got to get in there and get it figured out and situated. Again, it's really, I think you've got 4 out of 5 that you've got a pretty good idea, or you're 4 out of 5. So with one exception, let's not lead to this dragging out into game week even like it has the last couple years, and then even further it went on into September because, frankly, they don't have time for that this year. And they need, like you said, they need that O-line with the type of offense they're going to run in the type system.
On the other side of the break, we'll see how A&M will stop the run in this 2018 season. You listen to TexAgs. This is Beliucci Hour Lunch, live on the Zone.
From News Talk 1620 WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM. Starting tonight, there is a new street closure in the Northgate District during peak weekend hours. College Station Assistant Director of Community Services Gus Roman says they're closing the intersection at Boyette and University Drive to vehicular traffic.
Students tend to not pay attention a lot to the crosswalks and to the lights, and so in an effort to make that a more safe or a safer intersection, we're going to be closing it off from 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights.
Roman says Boyette will be closed up to Patricia Street, which is just past the gas station, creating a large pedestrian crosswalk. The intersection will also be closed on Wednesday, August 29th, the night before the Aggie football opener against Northwestern State. A College Station man whose 1-year jail sentence for vehicle burglary ended June 19th is back in jail, accused of breaking into a car and 2 pickup trucks in a West Bryan neighborhood. According to the arrest report, 21-year-old Jeremy Jontarian Green was caught following a citizen's call just after 3:30 Tuesday morning. The car was parked on La Brisa and the trucks were parked on cobblestone. Bryan police responding to a disturbance over a baby shower resulted in the arrest of a Houston woman on a charge of swinging a tire iron towards the head of the mother-to-be and strangling her. According to the arrest report, 58-year-old Gwendolyn Diggles told officers the argument started when she wanted to buy food stamps from the victim while they were at the store and the victim refused. Kroger Stores is exploring the possible sale of one of its subsidiaries. The Turkey Hill business unit produces a variety of ice creams, milk, and fruit drinks and employs about 800. This follows last year's announcement that Kroger was selling most of its convenience store business. I'm Chelsea Reber on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone 102.7 FM.
If you're looking for a way to truly help children in need, become a CASA volunteer. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. It means that you'll represent the best interest of a child in need in court. You'll work with attorneys and social workers to make sure that child is safe in the foster care system. You won't be a foster parent, but you will be a voice making a real difference at a critical turning point in his or her life. Because every child deserves a chance, and that chance is you. Volunteer today at becomeacasa.org.
Sponsored by Texas CASA.
There's still plenty of summer, so there's plenty of time left to win your Texas Summer Survival Kit thanks to World of Beer. You and your family can enjoy a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue, 4 tickets to the Queen Theater in downtown Bryan with 4 Cokes and 4 bags of popcorn, 4 tickets to the Schlitterbahn, and 4 tickets to the Bombers that include a catered pregame meal and a $1 happy hour. Each week, the entries start new. So remember to register again each week. For more information or to register now, you can go to zone1150.com.
Ryan Brauninger, Beliucci from here at the Tap on Harvey Road, Beliucci Hour Lunch. Thursday, August the 9th. 3 weeks away from kickoff, A&M Northwestern State. 6:30 on Kyle Field. Again, we will be here on game day. Beliucci Hour on game day from here at the Tap on Harvey Road. Luch, I think as many question marks as there are on the offensive line and how they're going to play, I think maybe the best position that A&M feels – or A&M fans feel the best about is the defensive line. But that's not all it takes to stop the run. You know, they're going to have to, I think, improve linebacker play. And then Gabe brought it up this morning. How many times you look up in the last half of the season and Derek Tucker's got 10 to 15 tackles in the running game? So I think at every level of this defense, I think the corners are unproven with their willingness to stick their nose in and make plays. I think they were okay with it last year, but how they defend the perimeter. But, you know, it all starts close to the football and A&M's deepest positions at the defensive tackle spot. You said it off the top. You expect improved numbers out of that Mike Elko's defense. Is it just because of the talent there, or do you think the scheme will fit what these guys are trying to do too?
I think the scheme will fit really well and will play to the strengths of those inside guys, and they're going to attack gaps more so in there. And I think if Kingsley's inside, he'll be inside and out. Bobby Brown, I like their ability in terms of run stopping if they're playing end, and inside in terms of Kiki, Justin Matabike, who was unblockable at times in the spring, Dalen Mack, who is a fixture in that starting unit right now, and who's got nothing but rave reviews from the coaching staff and his teammates. And then you go guys that aren't there yet. Jaden Peavy misses spring. You commented about it. I've written about it. He looks like an absolute monster out there, as does Muhammad Diallo. So you got that group on the inside, and I mean, you're going easily. If Kiki's playing in there, you're going, 6 deep?
Yeah.
And then that doesn't even say for someone like who's starting to be a little bit of a veteran, even though he hadn't played much at all yet. You know, he's been in the program a while now, and T.D. Moten. And then you can play Josh Rogers in year 2, and you can play Bobby inside too if you need to. So that is, I think it's a team strength, not just a defensive strength. But when you talk about stopping the run, you know, there's some questions. You don't have that rangy edge guy right now, that long-armed
Tyree Wilson looks like he could be that, but now he ain't ready.
And they're not ready yet. And I've heard some good things about your boy Max. I've heard Max is off to a good start and been a pleasant.
Well, you know what Max is going to be. Max is going to do everything right as hard as he can 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So whatever he may lack in athleticism or whatever it is, he's going to make up for an effort.
But I do think they need some real athletes on the perimeter and on the edge out there. Michael Clemens was that guy. We have no idea how long till he's back. It could be sooner. It could be later. By sooner, I don't think, in the next couple of weeks. But for him, you don't have that long, rangy athlete on the edge at the end. You don't have that ferocious edge pass rusher. Although Landis Durham has proven he can get to the quarterback.
Well, that's my biggest
11 times last time. My question, though, Bronny.
What if they run at it?
Yes, exactly. He's still built. Landis is a really good player for A&M. Landis is an all-SEC candidate for A&M. He's still built like a larger linebacker more so than a DN. And even though his skill set is that of a DN, he uses his hands well. I would still wonder if teams just line up and run right at him. And then on the other side where you could have a guy in Clemens, long, rangy, athletic type, you no longer have that anymore. There are some questions. That rover position, Buddy Johnson is still trying to come back. And then you've got two guys devoid of any college experience in the box in Akeno Okeke and Brian Johnson. So there are some questions up front, but there are also a lot of bright spots. With those D tackles we talked about, and particularly Dodson, Alaka, and then if Anthony Hines can continue to come up to speed.
I think we've seen what Terry Price can do with whenever you don't know what he's got at defensive end. Obviously, last year was a huge highlighting piece to that. But, I think A&M will be really good because of the amount of guys that you mentioned that can play inside and out. I think they'll be very good in short yardage because you can roll 5 bodies up there. But for this run defense, the goal of these defensive tackles isn't to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. It's nice that they do, but it's to let your linebackers run around and make plays. A key to this run stop, or the run defense this year, is the health of Otaro Alaka. And then when Anthony Hines is in the game, is he in the right spot? And we talked about that, and I think Anthony's getting more comfortable with it. But you can't just chase the football all the time. You end up in the wrong spot. And listen, it happened to Derek Tucker against Alabama, and that's the run that Bama popped, Damian Harris popped in the first quarter, was Derek Tucker just running in there like you would have at Manville, and he was out of position. So it's more about knowing where you're supposed to be than being an incredible athlete that can run back and forth. If you're not in the right spot, that run defense is going to suffer.
Yeah, I feel like here's my concern in the run defense too is if Clemens is out, you lack speed. You lack optimal speed at several positions up front. And that's where that rover hopefully can really help. But at one of your two end spots, I don't think, for everything Otaro does, he no longer is, he's not the fast, fluid athlete he was when he was being recruited, when he was a lot smaller and hadn't suffered injuries.
Yeah, he should put a bunch of miles on his body.
So I do think that there is, when you look over and you kind of look maybe on that side of the field at times, you'll go, they don't have a lot of speed over there. And that's another concern of mine. But Mike Elko will figure out ways around it. I'm confident in that. I think you've got an A-plus coach that is not going to put his guys in positions to not succeed, and he's not going to leave himself, exposed with a glaring weakness for defenses to attack.
I think he's also – we've heard that he's very good with making adjustments. So I don't think he's going to consistently just beat his head against a pole and not make changes. Could you see a situation, Luch, where Donovan Wilson comes more down into the box, maybe that rover spot, or a Leon O'Neal?
Maybe Leon more so than Donovan, which is like interesting because we've always seen Donovan come in there and thrive. But I could see that being a role that Leon, as a true freshman, kind of evolves into. As he gets comfortable.
You worry about putting true freshmen on the back end, especially Leon with Tucker, because they both are going to want to gamble to go make plays, and that's just kind of how they're wired and how they're built. And so if you have both of them back there and Dono in the box, you really risk that play action stuff over the top. I love where they're at.
Now into pass
I know, but I love where they're at with their safeties wanting to come up and be physical. We've seen Donovan do it his whole career. How many tackles did Tucker have in that Ole Miss game? 20?
I don't know.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
And then he had played a half against LSU, and then he changed what Wake Forest was wanting to do in the second half of that bowl game.
He was absolutely an impact player in that Wake game. He knocked Darius Geis out. Darius Geis deserved it for as much smack as he was talking. That wasn't a cheap shot. It ended up being a helmet-to-helmet. It was one of those where when Tuck went in for the tackle, Geis's head was at one level. He was falling down. His head lowered. They need to figure out how to
Don't kick the kid out.
How
for
to
that.
punish that? How to judge that? Because he did not go for his head, but he knocked the you know what out of Geis, and Geis deserved it. Talking the trash he did. Tucker's an enforcer, and then that Ole Miss game you talked about. I mean those are 3 games in a row there, and he didn't mean to do this either, but he ended Devon Penniman's season, his high school teammate. He is a guy out there that A&M opponents are going to start to fear. And you need that back there.
Sure.
I mean, you
in the run game just as much as the pass game.
Yeah.
And he acts like he can act like an extra linebacker because he wants to come up and be physical. And once the ball snap, he gets a run read. He can run up and close that gap.
We'll talk about it whenever you do this pass defense, but that's where Keldrick Carper can come in too. They need kind of a cerebral guy back there, and maybe a guy with a little more range and coverage, and that's not going to have his first instinct to come downhill and crush
I think people forget a lot of times how much influence Armani had on getting guys in the right spots and just having so much experience and feel about where the football was going to go. And he ended games that way in the past, against Arkansas, against Tennessee, against the pass. But we don't know how much of an influence he had against the run because we don't sit there and hear the calls. But it'll be interesting to see if Dono can step up and be that guy. So I know that he's expecting to take that next jump, and I know the coaching staff are expecting him to take that next jump. When we come back, we need some questions from here at the tap. If you've got some, find those index cards. Write us your questions. Get them up here to LiuccI and I. We'll do our best to tackle those on the other side of the break, and we'll close the show. We'll close the week. Beliucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone.
You can listen to TexAgs Radio, 8 to 11 mornings on Sports Radio 1150 and the Zone, 102.7 FM, and online at RadioAggieland.com.
Folks are always looking for a place to meet friends, grab some food, relax, and unwind with a cold beer, mixed drink, or glass of Boots Sweet Tea. The Tap on Harvey Road has been the place to do just that for nearly 30 years. A casual atmosphere and tasty food keeps people coming back for more. Our burgers, salads, chicken tenders, nachos, and more are sure to satisfy whatever craving you have. And being in SEC country, the Tap is a great place to meet before, during, or after the game. See you at the Tap on Harvey Road in College Station.
For your car, your home, your business too, Acme Glass takes care of you. For over 60 years, we're the clear leader. Our quality and value keeps shining through. For repair and replacement on all kinds of glass, you can trust Acme for quality that lasts. Where quality and value keep shining through, Acme Glass, we're the clear leader.
Normandy Tractor and Implement Company, winner of the Kubota Elite Certified Dealer Award in Best of the Brazos Valley for 17 straight years. Home of the Kubota tractors, ATVs, RTVs, zero-turn lawnmowers, and implements for the farm and ranch. Celebrate spring with great package deals. For a limited time, get the #1 selling compact tractor in Texas, the new Kubota L2501F, 24.8 horsepower, along with the 3-point quick hitch and a 5-foot box blade for only $10,599 cash price, or with financing less than $114 per month. Upgrade to a 4-wheel drive and get monthly payments of only $129 per month. Remember, Vernon and the boys at Normandy Tractor are the best when it comes to customer service and building your own Kubota package deal. Get zero money down, 0% financing at Normandy Tractor on most Kubota tractors and lawn equipment. Normandy Tractor at Highway 39 at OSR in Normandy, online normandytractor.com. Remember, for the largest selection and best prices on all your Kubota tractor and utility vehicle needs, nobody beats Normandy Tractor. Nobody.
The 2018 Fighting Texas Aggie football season is underway, and the Zone has got your coverage from beginning to end on all our social media platforms. Follow the Zone on Twitter at Zone1150, Instagram at Zone1150, and Facebook at Facebook.com/Zone1150. We've even got our very own YouTube page, Sports Radio The Zone 1150. The Jimbo Fisher era is underway, and the Zone has got all the sights and sounds you need. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Follow the Zone on social media today.
Final segment here on this Thursday afternoon. Ryan Brauninger, Beliucci from here at the Tap on Harvey Road. Beliucci Hour Lunch. Here every Tuesday and Thursday, noon to 1, talking all things Aggie Sports as we head into the football season. Got a question from here at the Tap. You know, Tipton doesn't even sign his name. He just puts his initials up there. We know your handwriting by now, Tipton. You can't pawn this off on anybody else. Who's the fastest on the team? Who's the strongest? And who's returning punts? Billy, go.
You got my mic's not on.
There we go. My bad. Still getting used to this new system.
Strongest? I mean, those are all three. One of them's a good question. The other one, one's good, one can't be answered yet, and one's bad. The bad one
for three.
The
Not bad
one,
baseball.
The bad one is who's the strongest because what are you talking about?
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound. Upper body. You know who has
Tyrell
the highest
Dodson's
bench
probably
press.
up there.
Tyrell Dodson, Dalen Mack would be up there. Actually, I think Keaton Sutherland would be really high. He's a strong man in that group. And,
Buddy Johnson looks like he can lift a bunch of weight.
Buddy Johnson looks like it. But those would probably be some guys right off.
If you want to know anything about a team's strength and conditioning and fitness testing, Tipton, you need to go to the Austin version of the Beliucci Hour lunch, because Tom Herman will tell you as much as he can.
What they're doing right now over there is so no offense, Ike, it's so Night of Champions that I don't understand like how they actually.
I had
think
never
that
heard
crap.
of Yancey McKnight before this year.
I don't understand how that crap's going to work. Like, we have 16 players squatting over 600 pounds and 13 benching over 400 and this many. Like, that crap doesn't work. It's been proven. Like, if you're worried about how much every one of your guys benches and squats, it doesn't work. You're going to have a whole team of guys looking like Brauninger out there. Bench press lords. All right, deadlifted 750 pounds. Well, what the hell good does that do you in football? And on bench press, you're not laying down to play the game.
You did. That's why you had to be good at bench press.
No, I just don't understand, like, why. I do understand it because they're just all fluff. They're all
eyewash.
It's all eyewash, as you call it. That's a good way to put it. They want to distract you from the fact at hand and get you fired up about whatever they can. And if they're telling you they're a bigger, stronger, faster team than ever before, so be it.
You know what I think I want to do at one point during this show is take all the regional teams and kind of get where you think they'll finish the year at. Take Texas, take Arkansas, LSU,
Texas might
Oklahoma.
be the biggest wild card of the bunch because I just don't know. I think, in that Big 12, it's one of those deals where if you want to see Tom Herman fail, then you really want TCU and
West Virginia ought to be pretty good.
You want TCU and West Virginia to be as good as advertised. And you want Kyler Murray to be as good as advertised. If those three things happen, I think along the way, Herman could end up looking at like an 8-4 or worse type season. If they're
you think there's a quarterback that gets him to 8?
I said if those three, if those three things happen, I think USC is not going to be any good. I think they're ranked like 15th, but most realistic people have them in the bottom 20 to 25 range, and I think Texas can beat them, and it's going to be the whole Texas is back thing.
Yeah, but
if they beat Maryland.
That's what I'm saying. I like Maryland's coaching staff. I like DJ Durkin and Matt Canada.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose to Maryland, then that thing changes. But here's going back to punt return was the question about A&M. I don't. That's not solved at all. If I'm just going to randomly guess, I think Rashad Paul will end up being the safest option. He's experienced. I don't think he's a home run threat, yet. Breakaway. He doesn't have that breakaway speed. He is slippery, but I think he's a veteran, and I think he might end up being the guy that catches the ball best. Beyond that, the guy I would keep an eye on is Deshaun Corbin. I think he's going to, whether it's punt or kick, I think he'll impact the return game as a true freshman.
There was something to be said, and I said it a lot whenever Rashad was being recruited out of Bremont. I think there's something to be said for a guy that's had to do it his whole life. He's had to have the ball in his hands his whole life for his team to be successful. And, you saw it last year when he opened up the season at UCLA and caught a pass in the first drive. You go from Bremont, Texas to the Rose Bowl, and it's like nothing happened. So if you put him back there to return kicks, I think there's something mentally where he says, I have to do this. But I'm used to having to do this because I've done it my whole life. So, good stuff, Luch. We'll be back Tuesday, and then we will start getting into the schedule. We'll start looking at LiuccI's projections for the seasons. We'll start, like I said, getting into some regional teams and kind of how they'll finish their seasons. A lot more to get to in 3 weeks on the Beliucci Hour. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Louie's on the other side.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Randy Rogers Band.
Thank you. Who out there is loving Texas tonight? That's right, there's no other place like Texas, but we all need to do our part to keep Texas a litter-free state. So, if you see trash on the ground,